Welcome back, grade 1s and 2s. This is the first subject for the day, and you are learning general studies with teacher Hlopsile Mkachwa. My name is Lirato Mabilisa, and also joining me in the studio is the sign language interpreter Nomcebo Lamini. A very good afternoon, teacher Hlopsile.
Afternoon, Lerato, and viewers at home. How are you doing, Lerato?
I'm alright. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, my dear.
Okay, so what is today's topic, and what would you expect the viewers to have learned by the end of the lesson? And please try and speak up as we communicate.
Okay, thank you, Lerato. Today, dear learners at home, we are going to learn about work done by teachers and nurses. And by the end of the lesson today, my dear learners, I want us to have discussed the work done by teachers in the community, and the clothes that they wear, and the tools that they use. And I want us to discuss the work done by nurses in the community and the uniform that they wear, and also talk about the tools that they use, and also draw a picture of a teacher and a nurse.
Okay, without wasting any time, please get onto it.
Okay, thank you very much, Lerato. My dear learners at home, it is important to learn about work done by nurses so that we know the people that provide services in our communities and appreciate the role that they play in our lives. And you might want to do the same work when you grow up. My dear learners at home, now I want us to sing this lovely song here before we start the lesson. Okay. I want to be a teacher, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a policeman, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a plumber. I want to be a librarian, I want to be a mailman, want to be a teacher. I want to be a nurse, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a policeman. I want to be a firefighter, want to be a plumber, want to be a librarian. I want to be a mail carrier, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor, I want to be a policeman, want to be a firefighter. I want to be a plumber, I want to be a librarian, I want to be a mail carrier. I can do anything I want to be. I can do anything I want to be. Okay, my dear learners at home. Now, in the song, we have met the people that provide services in our communities. And I want you to give me the names of the people that provide services at home. Yes, my babies, you met a teacher. And here we have a teacher, my dear learners. What else did you get from the song? You got a nurse. And okay, what else did you get, my dear learners? You also got a doctor from the song, and here is a doctor. What else did you say, what else did you get, my dear learners at home? Police officer. And here is a police officer, my angels. Okay, very good. What else did you get from the song? You got a firefighter. Yes, my babies, and here is a firefighter. You also got a plumber. And here is a plumber, my angels. That's good. We're doing very well. And what else did you get from the song? You got a librarian. And here is a librarian. And what else did you get? A mail carrier. And here is a mail carrier. Okay, but for today, my dear learners at home, our main focus will be on teachers and nurses. Okay, my dear learners at home, now I want us to look at this picture now. What can you see from this picture, my dear learners? Oh, you can see teachers. Why do you say these ones are teachers here? Because they are pointing on the board. Yes, these are teachers. Yes, my dear learners. Can we quickly look at what they are wearing, my dear learners at home? Are the clothes the same? Oh, okay, no, they are not the same. Teachers, I want to bring to your attention that teachers do not have uniform, my dear learners at home. But they always dress smartly and they are presentable. And they look good, just like me. Thank you, my babies. Do you want to be a teacher? Yes, thank you, my babies. Okay, now I want us to open on page 1 of our workbooks, my dear learners. Okay, we are going to find a picture like this one, my babies. Okay, let us look at the picture now, my angels. Okay, are their clothes the same? No, my babies. Yes, they are not the same. We say that teachers wear different clothes, but they are always presentable and they look smart, my dear angels. Okay, later I want you to color this picture. You have to color it nicely, just like I did, my dear angels. Okay, now my babies at home, I want us to look at this picture and discuss the work done by a teacher, my angels. Okay, let us look at this first picture here. What can you see from this picture, my angels? You can see a teacher. Wonderful. That is a teacher. Okay, we also see a bookshelf behind the teacher there. And what else can you see there, my dear angels? A pile of exercise book. Wonderful, my angels. Okay, what is the teacher doing there? Probably the teacher is marking the exercise book because these are exercise book, a pile of exercise books next to her. Or probably the teacher is preparing for the next lesson, my dear learners, because a teacher cannot come to class without preparing for the next lesson, my dear learners. Okay, my angels, let us now look at the next picture here. Now, what can you see, my dear learners at home here? Okay, my babies, you can see learners, students are sitting down here. And what else can you see? A teacher. Yes, my babies, this is a teacher. What is the teacher doing there? The teacher is helping the learner to write the correct thing. My dear learners at home, teachers do help us to write the correct thing, my babies. Okay, let us look at the next picture now. What can you see, my babies, there? You can see a boy writing on the board. That is wonderful. The boy is writing on the chalkboard, my babies. Very good. What else can you see there? You can see a teacher. Wonderful. What is the teacher doing there? The teacher is observing what the boy is doing there. Okay, my angel, it's very good. Teachers do help us or guide us to write the correct things even on chalkboard. Very good. Okay, let us move on to the last picture. Yes, my babies, what can you see there? You can see students. Yes, very good. Students are sitting down there and there is a teacher holding a book. It looks like the teacher is reading a story to the learners, my dear learners. Okay, my dear learners, the students are listening to the teacher, my babies. Let us move on, my dear learners. Let us look at this picture now. We are going to talk about the tools that we use in class when we are learning. What can you see, my angels? You can see a chalkboard from the picture, and there is a duster, my babies, and there is a piece of chalk there. What else can we see, my babies? We can see a pencil. Very good. What else can we see from the picture? We can see a sharpener. Hey, my babies, you do love sharpeners. When the teacher give you work to do, you always go and sharpen your pencils before you start writing. I know you love sharpeners. Okay, my babies, let us look at this one now. Here are crayons. Okay, my dear learners, these are tools that we use. These are tools that we use when learning in class. Okay, my babies, we have talked about the clothes worn by teachers. We have also talked about tools that we use when we are learning. We have also talked about the work done by the teachers. Now we are moving to the second part of the lesson, which is nurses. Okay, my babies, let us look at the picture here. What can you see from this picture here? You can see nurses. Why do we say these people are nurses? It's because they are wearing uniforms. Yes, they are wearing uniforms. We can also see red epaulets on their shoulders. Nurses put on red epaulets, my babies, on their shoulders. They put on white shirts. They put on white waistcoats, sometimes red shirts, gray waistcoats, gray skirts, or even navy blue pants, my dear learners. Yes, nurses do have a uniform, because a uniform help people to be easily identifiable from a group of people. Now let us look at this picture again. This picture here also shows nurses. They are still wearing the same uniform, my dear learners at home. Let us now look at this picture, and we're going to discuss the work done by nurses, my dear learners. What can you see from this picture here? This picture, you can see a nurse. You can also see a grandmother. From this picture here, my dear learners, you can also see the red epaulets from the nurse's shoulder, my dear learners at home. And the nurse here is helping the grandmother. The grandmother is sick, and the nurse is helping the grandmother. Nurses do help us when we are sick. Nurses are very useful in our lives. When we are sick, they inject us. They sometimes change bandages. They bandage us when we are wounded. Nurses are very useful in our lives, my dear learners at home. Now let us move on to the next picture, my babies. In this picture, what can you see? You can see a nurse. Yes, that is good. You can also see students here. The students are waiting, and the nurse is writing their names. Yes, my dear learners at home. The nurses... The students here are waiting to receive maybe their deworming pills. We all know that sometimes the nurses do come to our schools, and they teach us about health issues, and they give us deworming pills, my dear learners at home. Yes, now I want us to look at the tools that the nurses use in hospital, my dear learners. Let us look at these tools, my babies. What can you see from this picture here? You can see an injection, my dear learners. This is not an injection, but this one is a syringe. A syringe, the nurses use it to inject you when you are sick. Yes, my dear learners. And you can also see a thermometer. A thermometer, the nurses use it to take your temperature when you are sick. What else can we see here? You can see a scale. The scale, the nurses use it to measure your mass. in hospitals. Yes, what else can you see? You can see a bandage. The bandage, nurses use it to cover your cuts or also cover your wounds when you are hurt or when you are wounded. Okay, my babies, and from this picture we can see also a thermometer. A thermometer, we have talked about it. We can also see pair of scissors. We can also see a nurse's watch, and we can also see this one the nurses use it to check your blood pressure, the one we normally call BP. And this one is used by doctors. They put this part in their ears to listen to your breathing, my dear learners. Yes, my babies, now we have looked at them. The clothes worn by nurses. We have also talked about the tools that they use, and we have also talked about the work that they do, my dear learners. Now I want you to open on page 2 of your workbooks and write the tools that are used by teachers. Also open on page 4, draw a picture of a teacher working, and you must make sure that the teacher is working. Also open on page 5 and 7 of the workbook. Make sure you color the pictures there. And you also open on page 8 of the workbook and draw a nurse working. Make sure that the nurse is working. Please try to show your work to them, to your guardian, to your parents at home, to your sisters, to your grandmother, aunties, whosoever you're staying with. Try to make sure that you do your work. As I end, my dear learners, today we have discussed the work done by teachers and nurses in the community. We have also discussed clothes by teachers and nurses. We have also discussed the tools used by teachers and nurses. My dear learners, this brings us to the end of our lesson today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you are safe. You are wearing your mask. You are staying at home. Please keep safe, my dear learners. Thank you very much for staying with me.
Thank you very much, Teacher Hlopsile. That was a very intriguing lesson, and I'm hoping that you're going to come again next time and give us a lesson as informative as this one.
Thank you very much, Lerato. You're welcome, and I will definitely come back.
Okay, great to hear. So grade 3s and 4s, do not go anywhere, because after this infomercial, your science teacher, Mr. Dlamini, will be back for the lesson. We'll be back after this infomercial.
Imvelo yethu, buhle bethu, tindzawo tethu, indalo yashada nemasiko kuhle kwethu, kuvakasha kwethula umthwalo emahlombe ethu, hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe, indlela uyikhombe etindzaweni tethu, temvelo nembukiso ungcebeleke uthathe netitfombe. lalela ke nangu sonkondlo waseswatini akutekela ayibeka indzaba ayihlela kuhle kwelijaha lishela ngiyakutshela diningi tindzawo longativakashela hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe la phana lapha kuvakasha kuyayelapha enhlitiyo kanye nemicondvo kuyawuphumuta kuqinisa buhlobo nebungane losebundenga ndenga with a trip to Mantenga Falls or a sip among friends of Sibebe Brew on Sibebe Mountain, or perhaps your cup of tea is backpacking and horse riding, sightseeing the seamless streams and springs that stream across the gorgeous valleys of the mountainous kingdoms of Eswatini. We have you covered. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe buhle bethu yimvelo yethu buhle bethu ngabuthola nasebantwini bethu.
Your favorite music show is back. We're bringing you the hottest music videos and live studio interviews with your favorite celebrities. We're giving you a front row seat to the latest fashion trends as well as your weekend gig guide. Join us live on social media and call in to send in your shout-outs. Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Friday at 5:30 p.m. live on Eswatini TV.
Eye on SADC, telling the African story from an African perspective. This is the only news program bringing you news, views, and interviews straight from the countries where it happened. Join me, Ndishishi Hamfungu, as I take you on a journey across Southern Africa. That's on Eye on SADC, news of SADC from SADC.
Welcome back, grade 3s and 4s. This is Home Study. My name is Lerato Mabilisa, and with me in the studio is your teacher, Mr. Banele Dlamini, who is going to be taking you guys for science. Also joining me in the studio is the sign language interpreter, Nomtebo Dlamini. Just a quick reminder, do not forget that we have social media platforms, which are YouTube and Facebook, where we are live from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. And do not forget to click that subscribe button so that whenever we are live, you get a notification. A very good afternoon, Mr. Dlamini.
Good afternoon, Lerato
How
and
are you
Lenas at home.
How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm alright. Okay, so today's topic is drugs.
Yes, it's about drugs.
What would you expect the grade 3s and 4s to have learned by the end of the lesson?
I would expect them to be able to define what a drug is. They should also be able to differentiate between good drugs and bad drugs. They should also be able to name commonly abused drugs. And they should also be able to describe sicknesses and behaviors related to drug abuse. And also, they should be able to report drug trafficking.
Okay, without wasting any time, please begin your lesson.
Okay, thank you very much. First, we'll say, why is it important to learn about drugs? What is the importance of this lesson? You have heard a lot about drugs, how they make people do bad things and how they make others sick, and even heard some people saying that there are good drugs and bad drugs. Is this really true? We'll find out today. First, we'll define what a drug is. A drug is a substance that changes the way the body works when taken into the body. Drugs are differentiated into two groups. There are bad drugs and also good drugs. Let us first talk about good drugs, my good learners. Good drugs are the ones that are used to cure illnesses. They are also called medicines. They are used to cure illnesses when you are sick. When you are sick, you go to the hospital, and in the hospital they give you some drugs. Those drugs are classified under good drugs. There are examples of good drugs which you get in the hospital. Examples are Panado, Myogel, Grandpa, and also you buy some Zambak at the stores, which are used to dry up some wounds if maybe you have been hurt. Drugs are also differentiated into many groups. They are classified in forms of tablets, which are the Panado, Grandpa, which is the powder, and also Myogel, which is a liquid, and also some ointment, which are the Zambak. Let us look at this picture of good drugs. This is a picture of a pharmacy. In a pharmacy, you only get good drugs. Drugs which are going to help you when you are sick. Here we have got a mouthwash, which come in a form of a liquid. A mouthwash helps you when your mouth have a smell. When you use the mouthwash, it helps you to remove the smell in your mouth. Also, we have some painkillers. Painkillers are used to relieve some pain in your body. And also we have a nasal spray. If your nose is blocked, the nasal spray helps you to open up your nose. We have also had the cough remedy, which you use when you are coughing. Also we have the heel balm, which comes in a form of an ointment. The heel balm is used to soften your body when it is dry and make it soft. And if your body lacks some vitamins, you use they give you some vitamins in the hospital to boost your immune system. Okay, we have now talked about good drugs. Now let us talk about bad drugs. These are the drugs that people take for fun. They have no benefit in the body. Instead, they destroy or they cause some harm in your body. People usually use them so that they are accepted by friends, which we call it peer pressure. Some also use it because they want to know how it feels after you have used them. And this is called curiosity. And taking bad drugs is very bad because they cause some harm in your body. And if when you take bad drugs, you end up addicted, meaning that you are now not able to quit using them. You use them while you are not now interested in using them. Examples of bad drugs are daga, alcohol. Alcohol comes in different forms. They come in a whiskey, wine, and they also come in beer. Let us look at this picture of bad drugs. Here we have some people enjoying some bad drugs. You can see this young man sniffing cocaine. And also we can see this girl smoking and this boy smoking cigarette. And also there is a young man here who is drinking beer. And this young boy is sniffing glue, which is very dangerous to his health. And all of them, what they are doing is very dangerous to their health. Good drugs can also be bad drugs. In which way? When you overuse them and when you overdose them. Overusing them is when you are taking them for a long period, and overdosing them is when you are taking them more than what the doctor has prescribed for you. Like the doctor has said, you take 2 in the morning, 2 afternoon, and then you decide to take 4 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. This is very bad to your health, because if you are taking more than what the doctor has said, it is going to cause some harm into your body. Some other drugs are used where they are not supposed to be used, like glue. Glue is used for repairing shoes. Now people take glue in sniffing them, and sniffing the glue will cause more harm in the inside of the body. It is very dangerous to take good drugs when you are not sick. You take drugs when advised by a doctor or a nurse. Okay, as we have said, we have talked about good drugs and bad drugs. Now let us look at these different types of drugs and state which one is good and which one is bad. Let's start about whiskey. Is whiskey a good drug or a bad drug? Yes, whiskey is not a good drug. It is a bad drug because most people take whiskey for enjoyment. They take it for fun. It has no benefit in their body. And dispirin. Dispirin is a good drug. Dispirin is used as a painkiller. It relieves the body when you have some pain. Cocaine. Cocaine is also a bad drug. It is not good to take cocaine because most people take cocaine to enjoy. If you take it to enjoy, it ends up disturbing your memory. You become mentally disturbed. You don't think properly if you are using cocaine. Gaviscon. Gaviscon is a good drug. It is a good drug because it helps you when you are constipated. Constipated meaning your stomach is full of air and then it takes out the air which is inside your stomach. Nyaupe. Nyaupe is another bad drug which I would like to advise you not to take it because it will affect your health. It will lead you to be mentally disturbed. It will disturb your mind. So avoid taking nyaupe. And lastly, snuff. Snuff is also another bad drug. Avoid taking snuff because it does not help you in your body system. Okay, sicknesses caused about drugs. There are different sicknesses which are caused by drugs, like vomiting. If you take too much drugs, you vomit, and drowsiness, feeling sleepy, stomach pains. Drugs even damages your liver. This is very dangerous. If your liver now is damaged, there are many things that can happen into your body. You can even have coma or even lead to death. Drugs are very, very dangerous. So I would like to advise you to stop and never abuse drugs. Other ways bad drugs affect our bodies. Bad drugs, as I have said before, that there are no benefits of using them. What they normally do in our body, they affect it. Your eyes become red if you abuse drugs. Your lips and mouth, they become black. Even your fingers, they become black and dark blue. The heart rate increases. Breathing rate also increases. Even your blood pressure, it also increases. This causes a long brain illness. Even you are not even going to be healed if you are affected from the brain. So I would like to advise you, my good learners, to stop you abusing drugs. Now let us look at problems caused by abusing drugs. You end up not caring about how you look like, not bathing, wearing dirty clothes. Even at home, you leave your bed unmade. Drugs also lead you to quarrels and fighting. You even become short-tempered, like to fight. You become angry fast, confused thinking and memory loss, which end up being your brain being affected, causing car accident. Here you drive drunk. Even if you are a pedestrian walking along the road, you can bump onto a moving car and the car can hit you. Not caring about work. Some even abscond their work, not going to work because they are drunk, and they end up losing their work. Stealing because you no longer have the money to buy the drugs, because drugs are expensive. You end up stealing people's property to sell them so that you get the money to buy the drugs. Telling lies, which is not good. Okay, drug trafficking. Now let us look at drug trafficking. What do we mean by drug trafficking? Drug trafficking is when drugs are sold illegally to other people. These drugs can be good drugs or bad drugs, but when they are sold illegally, it is drug trafficking. This is a crime. Once you are found selling drugs illegally, you get arrested. This is a very, very bad thing. Never allow anyone to send you to sell or to take drugs to someone else. Even at school, if someone can give you some drugs to sell them at school, don't do that. Report drug trafficking to your teacher, your parent, or either your guardian. Okay, because now we have talked about good drugs and bad drugs, I would like you later to open on page 12 to page 16 in your activity books and answer those questions which are in page 12 to page 16. Okay, because we have now come to the end of our lesson, I would like to remind you what we have talked about. We were able to define what a drug is. We said a drug is any substance that changes how the body works. And we said there are good drugs and bad drugs. We said good drugs are the ones which are used to cure some illnesses, and bad drugs are the ones that are used for fun. I would like to advise you, my good learners, to stay away from bad drugs and also report drug trafficking to your parents, guidance, or your teachers. Now we have come to the end of our lesson, and I hope we will meet next time to the next lesson. Lerato, back to you.
Thank you very much, sir. That was a very interesting lesson, and thank you for coming today.
Thank you very much, Lerato.
Okay, we're hoping that you're going to come again next time and give us a lesson as amazing as this one.
Yes, I'll come, Lerato.
Okay, grade 3s and 4s. Up next is the Siswati teacher, Sbongseni Nkambule, and she's going to be taking you for Siswati. So do not go anywhere because we will be back after this infomercial.
Healing, hope, restoration. Amazing stories of real people like you who have triumphed over tragedy. Watch Turning Point International and be inspired to reach your turning point.
it really ministers to the soul of man, and as a pastor you benefit a lot because people learn and they learn how to cope with issues probably you don't even deal with in your sermons.
It's not reality TV, it's real life TV.
Ngikuvusele mbukeli ekhaya ngiphinze ngikwemukele eluhlelweni lwekufundza usekhaya pheceleti i-home study. Libito lami ngengilirato wakamabilisa kanti ke kulesikhathi samanje ngihamba naye thishela wesiswati thishela Sibongiseni Nkambule. Ngikuvusele thishela ngikwemukele eluhlelweni.
Ngiyakuvusela nami sesilerato unjani?
Ngiphilile unjani namhla?
Ngiyaphila nami sisi.
Okay, ngicela manje sibe nemfutho khona sitaba mnanzi sifumbo sethu
Okay.
Okay. Umfundzi namhla utaba funza ngani futhi ukubhekeke ukuthi makuphela lesifundvo abe afundzeni.
Umfundzi namuhla utabe afunza umsindvo nq. Lo tawusita umfundzi ukuthi akhone kwakha emagama lana lomsindvo aphinze akhone kuwabhala.
Oh, okay, thishela. Ngethemba ukuthi isitaba mnanzi kakhulu sifumbo sethu sanamuhla.
Siyabonga sisi. Ngikubingelele mfundzi wami ekhaya, lokubingelelako ngithishela wakho wesiswati ebangeni lesithathu Sibongiseni Nkambule. Ngisabukela mfundzi wami sifundo sakho sanamuhla ngicela ungitele nanaku lokulandzelako libhuku lakho lekubhala ipenseli yakho yekubhala. Imigomo yesifundo sethu sanamuhla ekupheleni kwalesifundo mfundzi kubhekeke ukuthi ukhone kwekucala kuhlukanisa umsindvo nq nemsindvo nq. Kwesibili kubona nekusho umsindvo nq egameni. Kwesithathu kufundza nekubhala umsindvo nq. Utawukhumbula mfundzi wami ebangeni lesibili sifunze umsindvo nq. Umsindvo nq. Umsindvo nq mfundzi wami awukapheleli uma ngabe ude bobani bonkhamisa. Bonkhamisa lekubo bani lekubo a, e, I, o, u. Kuze kuthi lo msindvo wakho ukhulume kufuna ufake labo bani labonkhamisa labasihlanu. Bese uthi na ufunza uthi nka, nke, nki, nko, nku. Asesibuke mfundzi nanka emagama kanye netithombe letinalomsindvo nq. Letinalomsindvo nq. Sithombe sethu sekucala sikhomba sithombe sani inkomishi. Inkomishi. Inkomishi mfundzi wami inaye umsindvo nq. Inaye umsindvo nq. Sithombe sethu sesibili sithombe sani senyoni. Inyoni dinengi tinhlobo tetinyoni lesitatiko. Kepha sithombe sami sikhomba sithombe senyoni lesibita ngekuthi yini inkonjane. Lesikubita ngekuthi inkonjane. Inkonjane nayo inaye umsindvo nq. Sithombe sethu sesithathu sithombe sesilimato tsite. Lesilimato lesi mfundzi wami uyavama kusibona kuphi emafilimini. Ligama laso sisibita ngekuthi inkemba. Inkemba nayo inawo ini umsindvo nq. Inawo umsindvo nq. Sithombe sethu sekugcina. Sithombe sinani udawuthi wena ubona lihashi. Lihashi lidonsa ini? Lidonsa inkalishi. Lidonsa inkalishi. Inkalishi nayo inawo umsindvo nk. Namuhla ke mfundzi wami sitabe sifunza ngekwetfulwa komsindvo lomusha. Umsindvo nk. Umsindvo nk. Umsindvo nk uhlukile kunemsindvo nka. Uhluke wona ngekuthi ubese sewungeta luhlavu tsite. Luhlavu lolungibani lolung. Ungeta luhlavu bese sifaka ini labonkhamisa lengibabalile ngathi bo a, e, I, o, u. Bese sithi nase siwufunza sifunza sithi nkha, nkhe, nkhi, nkho, nkhu. Asiphinze siwufunze mfundzi sikanye kanye. Nkha, nkhe, nkhi, nkho, nkhu. Asesibuke mfundzi wami nati tithombe letinawo umsindvo nkh. Sithombe sethu sekucala silwane lesijwayelekile ekhaya. Ngiyathemba nawe mfundzi njenyalo uyasho ukuthi nayiya inkhomo yakithi. Yebo mfundzi wami. Sithombe sekucala sikukhombisa sithombe sani? Inkhomo. Inkhomo. Inkhomo mfundzi wami inawo umsindvo nkh. Inawo umsindvo nkh. Sithombe lesilandzelako sithombe inkhukhu. Inkhukhu. Kude longayadi inkhukhu mfundzi wami. Umkhukhu inawo umsindvo nkh. Inawo umsindvo nkh. Kanti sithombe sethu lesilandzelako sithombe sesilwane lesihlala emantini. Sithombe sesilwane lesihlala kuphi? Emantini. Tsine sikubita ngekuthi inkhala. Nasikhula nje thina mfundzi wami inkhala bebasitshela ukuthi uma ngabe uyinfombatana walunywa inkhala uyashintsha ube ngumfana. Uma ngabe ungumfana uyashintsha ube yini? Yinfombatana. Inkhala nayo inawo umsindvo nkh. Lona lesiwubukako. Sithombe sethu sekugcina sithombe sani? Inkhosi. Inkhosi. Inkhosi nayo inawo umsindvo nkh. Inawo umsindvo nkh. Asichubeke mfundzi wami. Mfundzi wami asesifunze nayi indzatshana. Asifunze nansi indzatshana lelandzelako. Lendzatshana sitayifunza kanye kanye. Ngitayifunza kwekucala ngiphindze ngiyifunze kwesibili. Mfundzi wami naka emagama lanemsindvo. Naka emagama lanemsindvo nkh. Naka emagama lanemsindvo nkh. Indzatshana yethu inesihloko lesithi nkhambule nenkhala. Nkhambule nenkhala. Nkhambule uyayesaba inkhala lenkhulu. Phela Nkhambule weva kuthi inkhala iyalumana. Lankhabinze uyamhleka Nkhambule ngalo kwesaba inkhala. Nkhululeko ufisa ukuthi angakhula afundzele tebusayensi. Phela ufuna kugcine ati ukuthi vele inkhala ithi ingakuluma ugucuke yini nobe cha. Asiyiphinze mfundzi wami indzatshana. Nkhambule uyayesaba inkhala lenkhulu. Phela nkhambule weva ukuthi inkhala iyalumana. Lankhabinze uyamhleka nkhambule ngalokwesaba inkhala. Nkhululeko ufisa ukuthi angakhula afundzele tebusayensi. Phela ufuna kugcina ati ukuthi vele inkhala ithi ingakuluma ugucuke yini nobe cha. Sengiyifunza kwekugcina mfundzi wami indzatshana lapha khona sitawukhokha ini emagama lakanawo umsindvo nkh. Nkhambule uyayesaba inkhala. Nkhambule uyayesaba inkhala lenkhulu. Phela nkhambule weva ukuthi inkhala iyalumana. Lankhabinze uyamhleka nkhambule ngalokwesaba inkhala. Nkhululeko ufisa ukuthi angakhula afundzele tebusayensi. Phela ufuna kugcina ati ukuthi vele inkhala ithi ingakuluma ugucuke yini nobe cha. Asesiwabuke ke mfundzi wami emagama lesesiwakhokhile kulendzatshana lakanalomsindvo nkh. Ligama lekucala lesilibonile lithi nkhambule. Nkhambule unayo ini umsindvo nkh. Ligama lelilandzelako inkhala. Inkhala. Lelilandzelako lankhabinze. Lankhabinze. Lekugcina nkhululeko. Asibuyele emuva kancane mfundzi wami. Siwakhokhe onke yini vele emagama lanawo lomsindvo nkh. Yebo mfundzi wami, siwakhokhe onke kusele linye. Ngabe uyalibona indlela igama lelisele. Nkhambule uyayesaba inkhala lenkhulu. Phela nkhambule weva ukuthi inkhala iyalumana. Lankhabinze uyamhleka nkhambule ngalokwesaba inkhala. Nkhululeko ufisa ukuthi angakhula afundzele tebusayensi. Phela ufuna kugcina ati ukuthi vele inkhala ithi ingakuluma ugucuke yini nobe cha. Kusele ligama linye ligama lelithi lenkhulu. Lenkhulu nawo unawo umsindvo nkh. Lenkhulu. Asichubeke mfundzi wami. Umsindvo nkh siyaphinza mfundzi wami siubhale ngeluhlavu lelikhulu. Luhlavu lolungufeleba. Kunemagama noma kunemagama lesithi nasiwabhala sicale ngaye bani feleba. Njengana sibhala igama endzawo emagama endzawo. Nasibhala emagama ebantfu. Nasibhala tibongo tebantfu. Uma sibhala ligama noma emagama endzawo sicala ngabani ngafeleba. Asasibuke nati tibonelo temagama letinalo leluhlavu lolukhulu. ligama lekucala nkhaba. Nkhaba ligama lani lendzawo. Angeke nkhaba sithi nasicala kumbhala simbhale ngeluhlavu leluncane sithi nkhaba. Kufuna ukuthi ngoba ligama lendzawo silubhale ngani silicale ngafeleba. Nkhanini naye ligama lani lendzawo. Nalo silicala ngabani ngafeleba. Nkhosi ngiphile ligama lemuntfu. Ligama lemuntfu uma silibhala silicala nalo ngafeleba. Nkhosi khona naye yini ligama lemuntfu. Nalo silicala ngabani ngafeleba. Sibongo semuntfu nkhosi. Nkhosi sibongo sani semuntfu. Nasisibhala sisicalise ngaye bani feleba. Nkhambule naye nasimbhala simucala ngeluhlavu lolukhulu. Sikucalelani ke ngeluhlavu lolukhulu? Sikhombisa kwendani kukuhlonipha. Magama endzawo, emagama ebantfu, tibongo tebantfu nasitibhala sikubhala ngeluhlavu lolukhulu sikhombe ukuthi siyakuhlonipha. Asesendeke mfundzi wami nangu umsebenti. Fundza lamagama lalandzelako bese ukipilitela emagama lanemsindvo nkh. Lo msebenti lona mfundzi sitawenda kanye. Fundza lamagama lalandzelako bese ukipilitela emagama lanemsindvo nkh. Ligama lekucala inkopolo. Linawo yini umsindvo nkh? Cha mfundzi wami, lide umsindvo nkh. Lokusho ukuthi siyaliyekela asilikipiliteli. Ligama lelilandzelako inkhala. Ukhona yini umsindvo nkh? Yebo mfundzi wami ukhona umsindvo nkh. Lokusho ukuthi senda njani siyalikipilitela. Ligama lelilandzelako inkapani. Inkapani inawo yini umsindvo nkh? Cha mfundzi, ide siyayiliyekela. Ligama lelilandzelako inkunzi. Inkunzi inawo yini umsindvo nkh? Cha mfundzi, kude umsindvo nkh. Ligama lelilandzelako inkhulumo. Inkhulumo ukhona umsindvo nkh. Nangu siyambona lokusho ukuthi senda njani siyalikipilitela. Ligama lelilandzelako inkhokhelo. Inkhokhelo inawo umsindvo nkh. Lokusho ukuthi senda njani nalo siyalikipilitela. Ligama lelilandzelako inkhulungwane. Inkhulungwane inawo umsindvo nkh. Lokusho ukuthi nalo silenda njani siyalikipilitela. Asesiphindze siwafunze ke mfundzi wami emagama etfu lesiwakipilitele. Ligama lekucala lithi inkhala. Inkhala. Inkhulumo. Inkhulumo. Leli landzelako inkhokhelo. Inkhokhelo. Leli landzelako inkhulungwane. Inkhulungwane. Uma ngabe mfundzi wami bowukipilitele inkopolo, inkapani, inkunzi, cha akusiko. Lawa ede umsindvo nkh, lawa lesengiwamakile. Koja ngulawa lengiwakipilitele lakanani, lakanalo msindvo nkh. Sesephetha mfundzi wami ekhaya. Ngiyethemba ukuthi ubonile umehluko emkhathini wemsindvo nkh. Lesawufunza nini ebangeni lesibili pheceleti grade 2 nemsindvo nkh lesiwufunze namuhla ebangeni lesithathu. Aseke mfundzi wami sifunze kanye umsindvo lesawufunza ebangeni lesibili. Safunza umsindvo nka, nke, nki, nko, nku. Nka, nke, nki, nko, nku. Umsindvo lesiwufunze namuhla. Namuhla sifunze umsindvo nkha, nkhe, nkhi, nkho, nkhu. Ukhumbule mfundzi wami ukuthi ngitsite lemisindvo ayikhulumi uma ngabe kude bonkhamisa. Lo msindvo lona awukhulumi uma ngabe ungakabafaki la bonkhamisa lekubo bani a, e, I, o, u. Anginawuhamba ke mfundzi wami ngingakakuniketi umsebenzi wakho lotawusala uwenda. Vula incwadi yakho mfundzi Siswati sami. Likhasi lelishumi nesiphohlongo pheceleti 18 ufunze emagama nenzatshana lenemsindvo nkh. Lenemsindvo nkh. Ngiyathemba mfundzi wami usijabulele sifundvo salamuhla lesekakuvalelisa esifundweni sakho sanamuhla. Ngithishela wakho Sibongiseni Nkambula.
Sibonge kakhulu kuba nathi namhla thishela Sibongiseni. Sethemba ukuthi mawubuya udawuphinza usiphe isifundvo lesimnanzi njengalesi.
Siyabonga sisi.
Okay. Mawufunza libanga form 1 ngoma form 2 ungayindzawo ngoba thishela wakho wesiswati Doreen Mamba utawubuya masibuya etimakethe.
Divers nome kanjani and forget what bothers you the most. On this stage, our dancers fire in their eyes come alive. They explore the fires that lay deep within with different dance moves. On this stage, they claim their space and who they are with sparkles, freestyle, silent and storm dances. All this and more with our vibrant and beautiful presenter Nikki. Divers Nome Kanjani Season 4 coming soon on Eswatini TV. Sibuko Semaswati.
Buhle bethu imvelo yethu. Buhle bethu tindzawo tethu. Indalo yashada nemasiko kuhle kwethu. Kuvakasha kwethula umthwalo emahlombe ethu. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe indlela uyikhombe etindzaweni tethu. Temvelo nembukiso ungcebeleke uthathe netithombe. Lalela ke nangu sonkondlo waseswatini akutekela ayibeka indzaba ayihlela kuhle kwelijaha lishela ngiyakutshela diningi tindzawo longativakashela hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe la phana lapha kuvakasha kuyayelapha enhlitiyo kanye nemicondvo kuyawuphumuda kuqinisa buhlobo nebungane losebundenga ndenga with a trip to Mantenga Falls or a sip among friends of Sibebe brew on Sibebe Mountain, or perhaps your cup of tea is backpacking and horse riding, sightseeing the seamless streams and springs that stream across the gorgeous valleys of the mountainous kingdoms of Eswatini. We have you covered. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe buhle bethu imvelo yethu buhle bethu ngabuthola nasebantwini bethu.
A very warm welcome back to our viewers at home, and a very good afternoon if you have just joined us. This is Home Study on Eswatini TV. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini, and right now we are doing Form 1 and Form 2 English language with Doreen Mamba, who is already with me in the studio. Also joining me in the studio is our sign language interpreter, Nombumelelo Hadebe. Good afternoon, Doreen. How are you?
I'm fine, Noazi. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you very much. Today, I understand that what are we doing exactly today on English language?
Today I expect the learners to explain why we use elements of style when we read. Why do we appreciate them?
Okay.
What was the purpose of the writer when he used the different elements of style?
Okay.
Yes.
Is there anything specifically that they're going to need for this particular lesson?
Okay, they may grab a pen, get a piece of paper,
Okay.
because we will have some learners' activities.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that, Doreen. Form 1s and Form 2s, we hope that you are ready for your lesson. And another reminder that we are live right now on YouTube and on Facebook. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to use our WhatsApp number. Doreen, I think you may begin with your lesson.
Okay, thank you very much, Nogwazi. Learner, in today's lesson, we are going to learn how to interpret or how to appreciate the style used by the writer to the reader. So here are our objectives for today's lesson. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to explain why we appreciate the elements of style in reading. You should also be able to identify the elements of style used in a passage, which means that there is an activity whereby you will have to underline or highlight the elements of style used in a passage. So let's go forward, Lena. What is style? So Lena, as you know, that each and every person has got his own style of dressing. So some people like to wear casual clothes. Some people like to wear formal clothing. So that's your style of wearing clothes. Some people like to put on makeup. They will do all sorts of things in order to enhance their style of doing things. So even writers or authors have got their own style of writing. It varies from author to author. Some will use formal language, some will use informal language, some will use figurative expressions like similes, like metaphors, like personification. It will depend on the diction or the choice of words that they want to use in order to convey a certain message to the reader. So moving forward, Lena, let us look at this passage. I want you to underline the elements of style used here. As I have just mentioned, that each and every author has got his own way
or style of writing for a purpose, so that the reader may get the meaning that was intended by the author. So it reads like this: the cinema is an exciting place where people can calm their nerves and enjoy their experience. The warm scent of the popcorn emanates throughout the movie theater, and a waft of chocolate delights the air. The pitter-patter of young children's feet scampering about the arcade evokes the feeling of anticipation and enthusiasm before the movie begins. As the movie begins, the soft cushions allow their exhausted bodies to sink in and rest. Everyone's minds are taken to a miniature vacation as they watch the movie before them. The cinema is an extraordinary haven to spend the downtime. Now, dear learner, let us try to underline or highlight or interpret the elements of style used by the writer in this passage. The cinema is an exciting place. The choice of words that have been used here, exciting place, it gives us an image that this is not just an ordinary place, but it's an exciting place. So it arouses our imagination, or it paints a vivid picture of a place that anyone can long to be, where people can calm their nerves. The writer chose to use these choices of words or these phrases instead of saying where people can relax. He chose to use these words, calm their nerves, in order to paint a certain picture of someone in a spa being massaged, and then you have relaxed nerves, you have refreshed nerves and all the stuff. So through these choice of words used by the author, it gives us a picture of how relaxing or comfortable it is to watch a movie in a cinema. The warm scent of popcorn emanates throughout the movie theater, and a waft chocolate delights the air. The choice of words warm scent, the phrase warm scent, this appeals to our sense of smell, meaning that the aroma is so welcoming. It's a nose clearing odor which is so inviting. So the writer had a certain purpose here of using this sensory language in order to invite the reader to read more and discover what happens inside a cinema. Okay. And a waft of chocolate delights the air, which means that even here, the writer chose to use the sensory language which appeals to the sense of smell, like the waft of chocolate, which means the aroma or the smell of chocolate. Instead of using the word, the smell of chocolate delights the air, he chose this word waft in order to convey that message or the meaning to us as intended by the writer, as his style of writing. The pitter-patter of young children's feet scampering about the arcade. The choice of words pitter-patter, it means that the writer chose to use these words in order to paint an image of the soft sounds made by the running around made by the children. instead of saying these children were running around, the author chose to use pita, which means the small or the quick, soft movements made by the children as they are moving around. That is why the author chose to use the scampering, children's feet scampering, which means these were quick movements, or the people were quickly running around making those noises because they were so excited to be in a cinema. That is why the author used this word, chose this word arcade, which means it is the passageway or the hallway in the cinema, or the corridor in the cinema. So it's according to the style chosen by the author or the writer to the reader. So it's very important that we appreciate all the style or the elements of style used by the writer to the reader. Okay, it evokes the feeling of anticipation and enthusiasm before the movie begins. Here, dear learner, we are given the type of feelings that you will have once you are in a cinema anticipating to watch a movie. So you will have that feeling of enthusiasm, which means extreme excitement. So the writer chose to use the word enthusiasm for that purpose of conveying the message or the feeling of excitement to the reader. As the movie begins, the soft cushions allow the exhausted bodies to sink in a rest. So here there's a descriptive word which qualifies the noun cushions, which is soft, which means it is so welcoming, it is so warm, it is so relaxing to sit in the cushions at the cinema because they are so soft. So this appeals to the sense of touch, because we can imagine or we can picture those pillows which are fluffy and soft as you are anticipating to watch that movie. Allow the exhausted bodies. The choice of word exhausted here means that the writer chose this word instead of saying the tired bodies, but exhausted, to convey that message or for effect, meaning that if you are so fatigued, so you can come to the cinema and just relax in these soft cushions. Let's move forward, Lena. The choice of word is sink. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are drowning in water or whatever, but it is trying to paint the picture of someone calmly relaxing in the cushions of the cinema. So this word has been used for that particular purpose, to bring about the picture of you relaxing, not that you are singing or drowning. Everyone's minds are taken to a miniature vacation. The choice of word miniature means that it is a shorter version of a vacation, or a small vacation, or just a small version of a vacation, meaning that as you are watching or as you are sitting in the cinema, it's like you are having your own dreamland. It's like you are in your own castle. You are a queen or king in your own castle. So through the choice of word miniature vacation, we get that meaning as it was intended by the author or the writer. The cinema is an extraordinary haven. The word haven, it means it is a place of refuge. You can just feel comfortable. You are safe there. So the writer is trying by all means to tell the reader through this word haven that everything is just calm. You don't need to stress. You just go there, you relax, everything is just okay. To spend downtown. The word downtown has been selected by the writer to convey the message to the reader that it is a time, like during your own leisure time. That is why he used the phrase downtown, meaning during your break, free time, or leisure time. So as we were reading that passage, we were analyzing or looking at the elements of style in reading. It is very, very important, dear Elena, to appreciate the elements of style used by the writer, because yes, the writer, when he wrote, it means that he had a certain message to convey to you. So that's the intended message that you have to get. For example, the vocabulary that we have just touched on, the diction that we have just touched on. In another slide, dear Elena, we will look at figures of speech, whereby they are used in a passage as well, like the simile, metaphor, personification, and many others like hyperbole, like oxymoron, and also punctuation marks. So we will also look at idioms, whereby writers choose to use figurative language for a particular purpose, and descriptive language as well, to describe a scene or to describe a place or to describe a person or an object. And also punctuation mark plays a major role in reading. You should focus on the punctuation mark that has been used by the reader for that particular purpose. Even formal language, dear Elena, some writers will choose to use the formal language, some writers will go the informal style. For example, someone will say, I have to meet my boss, but another person will say, I have to meet my superior. That is the style that you may choose, formal or informal style. So dear Elena, let's have this example of formal and informal style. If you say, please deal with the situation, that is informal. Please deal with the situation. This is the informal style that has been chosen by a certain author or a certain writer. But then if you want to shift to formal language, you will say, please handle that situation. So in informal, you say deal with. In informal, when you want to be formal, you will say handle the situation. Another example, dear Elena, you should tell your parents about the accident. To tell is an informal style, but if you want to use the formal one, you will say inform your parents. Another way, if you have done anything wrong to a person, using the informal style, you will say, I'm sorry I ate your food, I'm sorry I took your money, I'm sorry I broke your phone, whatever. But if you want to use the formal style as intended by the writer or author, you will say, please accept my apologies. That is formal, dear Elena. Another example of formal style, you may say, to my horror, I realized that I had absent-mindedly mailed the agent letter without a stamp. But if you want to use the informal language, you will say, oops, I must have forgotten to put the stamp on the letter. So this is informal language. Moving forward, dear Elena, here is our activity where we have to identify the different elements of style used in the paragraph below. Remember, dear Elena, we talked about figures of speech like idiom. We also talked about figurative language like the metaphor. We talked about the simile. We talked about personification. We talked about hyperbole. We talked about oxymoron which may be used by a writer in order to convey the intended message to the reader. So as a reader, it is your role to appreciate the written work and identify the elements of style that has been used in order to get the intended message. So dear learner, you should remember that a simile is a word of comparison whereby a writer or whereby as or like are used to compare two not similar objects. For example, when I say I was as angry as a lion, the words of comparison as, it means that you are comparing me as a person to a lion, meaning that I was very angry. You may also say he was as tall as a giraffe, meaning that someone was very, very tall. It doesn't mean that that person was as tall as a giraffe, like that person was 2-something meters tall, but you are trying to exaggerate or paint an image or a picture of how tall the person was using the words of comparison. When we talk about a metaphor, dear learner, it means that you do not use the words of comparison as or like, but instead you say that something is something. For example, when I say I am a lion, instead of saying I am as angry as a lion. When you say I am a lion, it means that you are telling the person that you behave like a lion without using the words of comparisons. But we know that you are not a lion in order to emphasize something. We can also use a personification, dear learner, whereby you are taking human attributes or human qualities and giving them to a non-human object or inanimate object, dear learner. For example, when I said, the sun smiled at me, you know very well that a sun is just an object. It's a non-living thing. It cannot smile to you, but you are trying to paint an image, or you are trying to paint a vivid picture that indeed it was a warm day. You were so happy. The atmosphere was so nice. The sky was so blue, meaning it was warm. That is why you use the personification of saying the sun greeted you or the sun smiled at you. Sometimes, dear learner, we may choose to use a hyperbole, whereby we are exaggerating something for purpose, for effect, or in order to emphasize something. For example, when I say I cried a million tears, it doesn't necessarily mean that the tears were a million, but you are trying to exaggerate the length of time you cried, meaning that you cried over and over again. That is why you may say I cried a million tears. Those are elements of style that could be used by a writer to a reader in order to convey a certain message, dear learner. Sometimes, dear learner, you may use a juxtaposition called an oxymoron, whereby two objects or two words that are not the same are put side by side. They are juxtaposed. For example, dear learner, I may say it was a bittersweet memory. The word bitter and the word sweeter juxtaposed side by side means that it was really an intense, very, very bad memory. It is something that you will never wish to happen again. That is why you may use the oxymoron. It was a bitter, sweeter memory. Sometimes someone will use another paradox and said it was clearly confusing. You know very well that something, when it is confusing, it means that you cannot explain it. Something is not clear. But when you say it is clearly confusing, it means that you have juxtaposed those words side by side. So dear learner, let us look at the passage and try to underline or highlight the different elements of style used in the paragraph. In a bolt from the blue, I woke up surrounded by an oppressive fog. It obscured my vision and hindered my breathing. I was clearly confused by the total silence. Indeed, it was a bittersweet experience. My mind was as busy as a bee, trying to figure out what was happening and where I was. I couldn't remember where I was or how I got there. Out of the deafening silence, I could only hear my heart repeatedly thundering against my chest. It was eerily quiet. So dear learner, here is your activity. All these underlined words means they are elements of style. So as we are reading, you have to tell me what figurative language or why are they used here, for what purpose, and for what effect. So I am giving you just a minute to go around telling me what figures of speech they are, why they are used, what the message was being passed by the author or the writer. So dear learner at home, I hope you are done. Let's focus on the first phrase. In a bolt from the blue, dear learner, this is an idiom, which means that it was a sudden occurrence or an unexpected occurrence. It happened unplanned. That is why the author chose to use the idiom a bolt from the blue. I woke up surrounded by an oppressive fog. How can a fog be oppressive, dear learner? So the figure of speech that has been used here, dear learner at home, it is a personification, meaning that the fog has been given the human qualities or the human attributes or characteristics of being oppressive or of oppressing one another or of enslaving another person. So we can tell that indeed the fog made the writer uncomfortable. It obscured my vision. The choice of word obscured, dear learner, means that the vision of the writer was hindered, or the vision of the writer, dear learner, was in a way not clear because of the fog, which means that the vision was obstructed by the fog. So this is a choice of word that has been used by the author or the writer for a purpose. Hindered my breathing, which means that the writer was in shortness of breath. This is another choice of word, dear learner, that has been used by the writer to convey a certain message to the reader or to paint a vivid picture of how tense or uncomfortable the situation was to the author or to the writer. I was clearly confused. This is a hyperbole. Sorry, dear learner, this is an oxymoron. Like I have said, that two words that are opposite of each other are juxtaposed or put side by side for a certain purpose or to create a certain image or to paint a picture or to exaggerate the situation here. When the writer say I was clearly confused, it means the writer was so desperate for answers. He didn't know what to do because of the situation that he was in. I was clearly confused by the total silence. which means that the author or the writer here was in the horns of a dilemma. He didn't know what to do. There was nobody to help him. There was no sound. Everything was just quiet. That is why he chose to use the words total silence. Indeed, it was a bittersweet experience, which means that this is another oxymoron, or two words that are opposite of each other, juxtaposed or put side by side to paint the image of the unbearable situation that the author was in. He couldn't do whatever that he had to do because he was confused. The situation was so intense. It was unbearable. He was uncomfortable. He didn't like the situation he was in. My mind was as busy as a bee. Dear Lena, this is a simile. We said in a simile, we use the words of comparison as in order to compare two things that are not the same for a particular purpose. So here the mind was as busy as a bee, which means the person was trying to get answers, but he couldn't get them. Or the mind was trying to process what was happening, but it didn't happen. Trying to figure out what was happening and where I was. I couldn't remember where I was or how I got there. That is why he was confused, and that is why the mind was as busy as a bee, dear Lena. Out of the deafening silence, here is another oxymoron, dear Lena. Deafening silence, which means that the silence was too intense. We say that this is an oxymoron because these two words, deafening and silence, are totally contradicting each other. Something that is deafening, it means that it is making loud noise that can close your ears. But here there is deafening and silence put side by side in order to create that image or effect, or for a purpose of exaggerating the silence, that it was too or it was very quiet, dear Lena. I could only hear my heart repeatedly thundering against my chest. This thundering is a hyperbole, dear Lena. This is a hyperbole. What is a hyperbole? It means that a word has been exaggerated for effect. We know very well that when something is thundering, we are used to lightning, dear Lena, that when there is lightning, there is thunder. So how can a heart start thundering, repeatedly thundering? It means, dear Lena, that the heart itself was beating faster than expected. That is the situation the writer was trying to paint to us. It was eerily quiet. Dear Lena, this choice of word, the writer is trying to give us or paint the image that it was totally, or he was frustrated, or he was very, very, very frightened. Because when something is eerie, it means it is frightening you, dear Lena. So here is a summary, dear Lena, of what we have learned today. We looked at the elements of style, and we say that when a writer writes, he used the economy of language, whereby he uses diction or the choices of words that has a particular purpose, which means that he chooses the words with precision, because all the words have to make a certain effect to the reader. All the words are important. So we also touch on figurative language in a passage. We also looked at the writer's tone and mood, just like the passage that we have touched on, whereby the mood of the poet of the passage was sad, the voice of the writer was frustrated. We also looked at formal and informal style of writing, whereby the writer is being guided by the purpose, the audience, and the context or the occasion. Nokwazi. I'm done.
Thank you so much, Doreen, for your lesson. We're hoping that your Form 1s and your Form 2s were able to learn from that and they actually enjoyed it. And we're going to see you soon, I hope.
Yes, Nokwazi, you are going to see me soon. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you so much. You have a lovely day yourself. Form 4s, coming up next is your Siswati lesson with Reptilia Masilela. We'll be right back after this.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you. But we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
Pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who pays for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and a gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
Your favorite music show is back. We're bringing you the hottest music videos and live studio interviews with your favorite celebrities. We're giving you a front row seat to the latest fashion trends as well as your weekend gig guide. Join us live on social media and call in to send in your shout-outs. Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Friday at 5:30 p.m. live on Eswatini TV.
Angomukele mbukeli ehlelweni lakho loluthandzako i-home study lekufundza usekhaya. Lo sembi kwakho nguye Nokwazi wakadlamini. Kanti kulesikhathi samanje sitawufundza Siswati selibanga lelishumi kanye naye Reptilia Masilela lasavele anami etindlini tekusakata. Ngikuvusele Reptilia, unjani namuhla?
Ngiyaphila kakhulu Nolwazi, unjani wena lamuhla?
Ngiyaphila nami Nokwazi.
Ngiyaxolisa Nokwazi, ngiyabonga ngokusisa lapho.
Kude inkinga. Ngicela ukuthi umane uphakamisela live lakho khona ukuthi umbukeli wakho ekhaya akhona ukuva.
Okay, ngiyabonga.
Namuhla ke Siswati sidabe sifunza ngani?
Sidabe namuhla sifunza Nokwazi ngekwethulwa kwenzaba lemfisha. Shothi kudabe nje umfunzi akhona ukuthi abe nalo likhono kumsethatsi abe nalo likhono lokuthi aqubungule imiqondo lejulile etenzabeni letimfisha atikhonela ukuthi ifunzela yena ngaphandle kwekusetwa ngithishela.
Okay, ngicabanga ukuthi sowuphendulile futhi nembuto wami wesibili ukuthi ubheke ukuthi umfunzi wakho abe afunzene ekupheleni kwalesifundo.
Kufanele ukuthi abe akhona ukuthi ayihlatiye indzaba lemfisha kusukela ekuqaleni esihlokweni ade ayofika futhi emaphethelweni ayo.
Okay, Reptilia, ngiyabonga kakhulu. Ngethemba ukuthi bafunzi ekhaya sebavele basilungiselele lesifundo, so ngacala nesifundo sakho Reptilia.
Ngiyabonga mfunzi wami ekhaya, angikwemukele eMpumalanga, eNtshonalanga, eNingizimu naseNyakatfo. Buya mfunzi ekhaya wena welibanga lelishumi nakunye nalo lelishumi nelishumi nakunye. Utothamela isifundo sakho seSiswati lapho utabe wethulelwa khona indzaba lemfisha. Mfunzi wami phela namhla vele kusindwe ngebelithole sipheke ngagalaza impela. Utawuthola nje ukuthi indzaba lemfisha siyihlatiya njani kusukela ekuqaleni ito iyofika ekugcineni. Seyitawusuka ke indiza mfunzi wami. Lungisa ufasa emabhande, ulungise phela kwekubhala, kwekubhalela nayo incwadi phela mfunzi yakho, mfunzi wami ikhulumani sive. Mfunzi wami sitawuqala nje ngekubuka ukuthi Simcoka ngani isifundo sethu salamuhla? Sifundo sethu salamuhla ke mfundisi simcoka ngoba sitakusita kukhaliphisa likhono lakho lekuhlatiya nekuphinze ukhone kucubungula imicondvo mfundzi lejulile kuyo yonke imibhalo. Kepha ke seshido mfundzi wami ukuthi kule mibhalo sitabe sibuka indzaba lemfisha. Futhi mfundzi esifundo sanamhla simcoka kukhutsata lutsandvo lwekufunza. Ukhona nje kuyithatha incwadi yesiswati utifundzele ungakafucwa ngumuntu. Lesifundo futhi simcoka mfundzi ngoba sitawulola likhono lakho lekubhala tindzaba letitawuhlamusa mfundzi ngoba lapha ephepheni lakho lekucala uyatibhala phela tindzaba indzaba yakho lecocako kufuna ukuthi ukhone kuyibhala kahle ibe ngilehlamusako. Asasibuke ke tihlokwana mfundzi lisitawusebentela etikwako kwato nje ngoba sesishido ukuthi sitawethula indzaba noma ke tindzaba letimfisha. Sitawucala mfundzi sibuyekete sifundo lesendlulile tindzaba letifundvako ngitiphi sehlukanise indzaba lemfisha kuletinye tinhlobo sibuke tingoni noma timphawu tendzaba lemfisha mfundzi wami ekhaya. Ekupheleni kwalesifundo ke mfundzi kufanele kube ufanele ukuthi ukhone ukuthi usibuyekete kahle sifundo sethu lesendlulile lapho uthulelwe khona kumiswa kwalo liphepha nato tonke tingoni noma ke luhla lolukulo leliphepha lesithathu. Ukhona futhi mfundzi wami nekuchaza namuhla ukuthi iyini ke indzaba lemfisha njengoba utawethulelwa yona. Utinike futhi mfundzi netindzaba letifundvako phela kuye khulumanisive. Ukhone nekwehlukanisa mfundzi wami indzaba lenjani lemfisha kulele tinyeke tinhlobo temibhalo lesinato. Ukhone futhi mfundzi nekunika ini timphawu. Ukhone kutinika letimphawu tendzaba lemfisha nangithi nje indzaba lemfisha icukethe noma inani. Ukhone kunginika mfundzi ngilekubhekeke ukuthi ekupheleni kwalesifundo ukhone kukwenda. Ekugcineni ukhone nekungichazela phela mfundzi wami ukuthi ingabe letimphawu tona tiyini lapho ke utabe sowuhlatiya mfundzi luphawu ngalunye. Asasicaleke ngekubuyeketa sifundo sethu lesendlulile mfundzi wami. Siteke esifundweni sethu lesendlulile uthulelwe luhlelo lalokufundvako kuleli banga lelishumi nelishumi nakunye. Sho ukuthi sabuka mfundzi ukuthi limiswa njani liphepha lesithathu phela mfundzi. Kulesifundo ke mfundzi wami kuchazwe ngalokukhanya ba kuthi temibhalo yesimanje tehlukaniswe tingoni letingakho mfundzi wami letindzathu mfundzi ekhaya. Kunenkondlo, kunemidlalo kanye nendzaba. Lendzaba ke mfundzi kungaba ngulemfisha noma kube ngilenze. Asasikhumbutane ke mfundzi engato letindzaba tethu letifunda tincwadzi tethu letifundvako ebangeni lelishumi nelishumi nakunye. Sinetinkondlo mfundzi encwadzini lenesihloko lesithi sabalala misebe. Sibe netindzaba letimfisha kukhulumanisive. Sibe nemsamalia lolungile loyincwadzi loyindzaba lenze. Bese sesiba nemidlalo kulilungelo lakhe. Njengoba ngishito ke mfundzi wami ekhaya lamuhla utabe uthulelwa indzaba noma tindzaba letimfisha lokusho ukuthi sitabe sibuka indzaba lengikhulumani sive. Ngicelile ke mfundzi wami ekhaya ukuthi ngicela uyisonzete lencwadzi yetindzaba letimfisha utowukhona ukuthi ubuke naletincwadzi lesitendako noma tindzaba lesitendako la kuyo lencwadzi khulumanisive. Asasikhumbutane ke mfundzi ukuthi ngutiphi letindzaba letifundvako. Ngiyethemba solivulile likhasi lakho lapha encwadzini lelekucala likhasi utobona lapho kunaloluhla lwaletindzaba. Sinaye dudwana mfundzi wami. Ngiyethemba nawe uyamaka kukhombisa ukuthi ngiyo lena lefundvako ungatoyifunza mfundzi mhlambe incwadzi lesingasiyo lesiyendako kuloluhla. Sibuke nafana lakhe kunaphuma nelikhambi ekushoneni kwelilanga luswati loluncane indlovu lengenamboko liwash lambalekelwa sewungilandzile siciniseko yeka emandla esambane lisondvo liyagicika nemvisa buhlungu umfundzi wami. Ngiyethemba sowukhonile mfundzi ukuthi ithola kahle tonke leto tindzaba letifundvako kuyo incwadzi yethu khulumani sive. Ngicela mfundzi ke sibukeke umehluko emkhatsini wayoke lendzaba lemfisha nendzaba lenze mfundzi wami ukuthi lokhu lokubili kwehlukene njani. Indzaba lemfisha mfundzi inesahluko sinye futhi vele yimfisha indzaba lemfisha njengeligama layo. Kanti lenze yona mfundzi inetehluko noma ke tinkundla uma kungumdlalo letinyenti. Indzaba lemfisha mfundzi inebalingisi phela mfundzi wami bobani badlali. Labadlali mfundzi sibheke ukuthi endzabeni lemfisha bangabi ngilabenza kulaba sithupha. Futhi ke laba mfundzi ngulabadlali ke labasebenzisele umbhali labagcamile labamqoka lokungibona ke basakhela lendzaba futhi ngeke lendzaba ichubeke ngephandle kwabo bamqoka. Kanti ke lena lenze mfundzi yona inebalingisi labanyenti bangenza ngisho kulabasihlanu labalishumi endzabeni lenze. Indzaba lemfisha futhi mfundzi kulesinye isikhathi yenteka endzaweni esikhatsini lesinyenti yenteka endzaweni yinye noma timbili. Kanzi lenze yona yenteka etindzaweni letinyenti futhi letehlukene mfundzi wami. Indzaba lemfisha mfundzi igcamisa nje ingcikithi yinye vo. Kanzi mfundzi indzaba lenze yona itawuba nengcikithi phindze ibe netingciki shana. Ngiyethemba mfundzi uyakhona ukubona umehluko emkhathini wendzaba lemfisha nendzaba lenze. Asingeneke mfundzi emathunjini esifundo sethu sanamuhla sibuke ukuthi iyini yona lendzaba lemfisha. Indzaba lemfisha mfundzi ngumbhalo lomfisha lowethula indzaba lephelele nalebumbene ledzingidza mfundzi sihloko sinye ngelulwimi lolunjani lolujubelako. Umbhali futhi ke lona elikhono leliphakeme mfundzi ekubhaleni indzaba lemfisha usebenzisa tinongo ngikhuluma kuyinanzisa phela njengoba ngishilo ukuthi uyayibhala indzaba mfundzi ihlamuse na ufuna ihlamuse ke mfundzi uyadisebenzisa tisho utisebenzise mfundzi nani netaka njengoba na upheka nje na usitshulo ekhaya mfundzi uyafaka phela titsako letitsete kutohlamusa kube mnanzi. Timbawuke tendzaba lemfisha mfundzi sibheke ukuthi ibe nesigabengo sinye njengoba ngibekile mfundzi yendeke endzaweni yinye badlali bangenci kulaba sithupha futhi kube nengcikithi yinye mfundzi wami ekhaya. Indzaba lemfisha ke mfundzi njengeligama layo sithite uma uyicathanisa nendzaba lenze iyajubela ikhethe yona emagama laconza ngco leni mfundzi ide indzawo lebanti nesikhathi lesinyenti sekwethula ini umlayeto. Kusoso naleso sikhashana iveta emasiko mfundzi lathite nendlela yekuphila yalabo bantfu labasebenzisile phela umbhali. Sakhiwo ndzaba ke sayo indzaba lemfisha mfundzi kufanele sibe nemfutho sibe nemandla kusukela ekucaleni site siyofika kuphi esicongweni mfundzi wami. Ngiyabona mfundzi soyadibuta ukuthi yini sicongo siyeta mfundzi ungajaki kuchaza ukuthi yini sicongo. Sinetinhlobo ke tetindzaba letimfisha mfundzi kungaba ngiletfusanako noma lesabsako kube nalebhlungu kube nalehlekisanako kungaya ngengcikithi yakhe umbhali. Sasitibonile ke mfundzi tinhlobo tetindzaba letimfisha asasale sibuka ke letingoni tekuhlatiya indzaba lemfisha. Indzaba lemfisha ke mfundzi siyasibuka sihloko ukuthi sihambelana njani nendzaba. Sibuke nesingeniso ukuthi sishaya khona yini. nasishaya khona mfundzi sitawubuka ukuthi kumele sivete sogcamile sivete umshikashika sivete nesibeka ndzaba lesisho indzawo sikhathi nesimo mfundzi sibuke futhi nesicongo mfundzi sibuke timilo tebalingisi sicubungule tifundvo netingcikithi letethulwe nguye umbhali mfundzi wami ngiyethemba ke sekuyacaca mfundzi ukuthi kubukwa ini uma kuhlatiywa indzaba lemfisha asasibukeke mfundzi siyithathe ngayinye ingoni sitawuqala mfundzi ngesihloko lekuba ngisonje loqala ngaso kusibona indzaba lemfisha mfundzi iba nesihloko lokubhekekeke kuthi singengci emagameni lasihlanu uma sihlatiya sihloko mfundzi sibuka umbhali ukuthi umbhali usebenzise liphi lisu kunika indzaba yakhe lesihloko asasibekise nje mfundzi nayi isihloko sendzaba lesithi indlovu lengenamboko sengile njani mfundzi indlovu lengenamboko ngoba siyati ukuthi indlovu mfundzi inani inemboko lesihloko lesi singasho ukuthi kusiphukuto lofundzako uyatibuta ukuthi yini lena ndlovu yini lena lengenamboko mfundzi ngabulokunyeke mfundzi uma sihlatiya lesihloko siyasibuka ukuthi sihambelana njani nendzaba siyahambelana yini sihloko sendzaba nayo lendzaba ngiyethemba ke mfundzi ukuthi soyabona ukuthi yini lesikunakako esihlokweni asesingene mfundzi esingenisweni kubalulekile mfundzi ukuthi indzaba ibe nesingeniso lesikhangako impela lesitawenda lofundzako athatheke impela phela umbhali lapha mfundzi wami usuke athengisa na uthengisa ke mfundzi kunengi longakuthengisa titolo tiyathengisa kune Pick n Pay kune Shoprite kuna Spar kepha nangabe leso sitolo sikhangise kahle uya lapho bakukhangise kahle khona nembhali ke lapha uyakukhangisa uthengisa indzaba yakhe ngani ngesingeniso umbuto ke mfundzi uthi ngulesinjani singeniso lesishaya khona ubhekeke ukuthi singeniso lesishaya khona mfundzi sisethulele naku lokulandzelako kumele sisethulele sogcamile kanye nenkinga labhekene nayo lesithi ngumshikashika mfundzi wami siphinze sisethulele sibeka ndzaba lesibeka ndzaba singaba sisikhathi indzawo lapho kwenteka khona indzaba kanye mfundzi wami nesimo lesivetiwe kuso singeniso kufaneleke singeniso mfundzi wami sishiye umfundzi wendzaba anembuto ke lotsite lo mbuto ke mfundzi sithi ngumdonseni uma udonsa mfundzi usuke into uyidonsa ita kuwe ngakho ke nalapha kusuke udonseka ukuthi uqhubeke wente njani mfundzi ufunze kude utophendvuleka kule mibuto lonayo asasibukeke mfundzi wami ukuthi sogcamile ngubani endzabeni lemfisha leli bitoke lelithi sogcamile mfundzi lisuselwaphi lisusela esentweni gama info nayigcamile isuke injani kusho ukuthi ivela noma ibonakala kahle kakhulu kunalokunye sogcamile ke mfundzi wami ngulomdlali noma ke umlingisi lonjani logcamako lotawetfulwa mfundzi esingenisweni atsinzeke futhi utotonke tigigaba letenteka endzabeni singasho mfundzi ukuthi umbhali ke kuba nguye lamsebenzisako kwetfula umlayeto nengcikithi yakhe mfundzi wami sithiteke sogcamile mfundzi uthulwa nani nenkinga lenkinga sithi yini ngumshikashika yini ke mfundzi umshikashika mfundzi yimphigulwa umdlali labanako nalabanye badlali noma ke labanako yena yedwa ngemicabango yakhe lokhu ke kusho ukuthi kusivetela ukuthi umshikashika singathi wehlukene kabili mfundzi wami kunemshikashika wangekhathi nemshikashika wangephandle. Ngilonjani ke wangekhathi? Ngilapho umdlali abanenkinga noma ke impi ngekhathi engqondweni yakhe ngetimo laphila kuto leti ngabangwa abantu nendalo. Kanti umshikashika wangaphandle mfundzi yimbi nje lesebaleni lapho khona mhlambe umdlali alwa nalomunye bashayana, lapho ke sithi sibona kushayisana lokukhona noma ke kungavumelani kwabo badlali. Lokunyeke lesikubukako esingenisweni mfundzi ngemasu nje lasetshenziswa ngumbhali kungenisa phela indzaba yakhe. Babhali mfundzi wami baba nemakhono lehlukene ekungenisa tindzaba tabo. Asasibukeke lamasu ekungenisa mfundzi ukuthi ngwapi. Umbhali angasebenzisa liphenyamuva. Liphenyamuva ke mfundzi ngulapho umbhali aqala indzaba yakhe ngalo kwenteka kuphi ekugcineni abuyele emuva asilanzisa ukuthi ufika njani lapho. Singeniso singeniso lesinye kungaba ukuthi umfundzi alandzelanise tigigaba ngekwenteka kwato. Singeniso lesinye futhi mfundzi singaba futhi nayinkulumiswano. Lomunye umbhali mfundzi angasebenzisa lapho umlingisi acabanga kungenisa indzaba yakhe. Lisuke lisetshenziswa ngumbhali mfundzi kungenisa indzaba yakhe lisivetela liphimbo lalisebenzisile umbhali endzabeni yakhe. Asaselibuke ke mfundzi ukuthi lehlukene njani leliphimbo. Umbhali ke angasebenzisa lisu lekuthi kube nguye mathupha loteka lendzaba. Lesingathi pheceleti mfundzi wami yini i-first person point of view. Lapha ke umbhali usebenzisa sivumelwano senhloko salokhulumako, kungaba ke bunye mfundzi noma bunyenti. Asesifunze nje nasi sibonele umfundzi wami. Ngema ngaba sithinti ingqondo ihambile noma bongafike uncinde bengeke ngive ngade ngathi lebulebu sekwenza ingquma yemoto lebeyivivile ilandzelwa tinhuli. Nasibuka ke mfundzi lapho siyabona ukuthi usebenzisa isivumelwano senhloko nalana usebenzisa isivumelwano senhloko lokhulumako lokusho ukuthi lendzaba lokuxoxa lendzaba nguyeke mathupha lositshela kusuka nekuhlala kwayo tigameko letendeka komfundzi tendeka kuye hayi kudiva ngani ngemuntu. Kanti ngalesinye isikhathi ke mfundzi wami umbhali angasebenzisa liphimbo lemuntu wesithathu pheceleti ke khona mfundzi third person point of view. Lapha ke umbhali usuke emelapha ecadzini yena asibukeli lokwendekako akwendeki ke kuye lapha mfundzi. Asesibuke nasi sibonelo ngilesithathu emini lambingo wehla enyuka ekhaya lakhe usuka endlini yokulala angene edladleni. Akahlali nalapho edladleni masinyane nje nguye loya asaphumile nango ashikitela aconze endlini lencane aphume futhi umntwana wambingo aye aconze esigujini semanti leseyeme edladleni jutane nesithumbanja. Ngulesithathu emini lambingo wenta njani wehla wenyuka ekhaya lakhe. Siyabona mfundzi ukuthi kulenzinyana siyaxoxelwa ngalokwenteka kulambingo akusuye losethulela tigameko letethulwa komfundzi wami ekhaya. Sesikubonile ke mfundzi konke mhlambe lokubhekeke ukuthi sikubone esingenisweni sendzaba. Asichubeke sibuke lenye ingoni yendzaba lemfisha lesithi sicongo noma livuthwa ndzaba. Yini ke sicongo mfundzi noma livuthwa ndzaba? Sicongo kulapho lemibuto lebese solo sitibuta yona sisafunza indzaba ifike iphenduleka phela mfundzi. Noma ke kulapho lobe kufihlakele sekuphumele baleni kudaluleka mfundzi wami. Lapho ke sithi nguphi kusesicongweni sendzaba. Uma sichubeka sifunda indzaba lenkinga lesethulelwa yona mfundisi esingenisweni iyathuthuka phela lapho sibona sogcamilo alwa avuka solafuna kufeza tifiso takhe esicongweni kuphela yongeke imibuto lobo ungaba nayo mfundisi wami ungumfundisi wendzaba. Asasichubeke ke mfundisi wami sibuke lenye ingoni lehlatiywako endzabeni lemfisha. Indzaba lemfisha mfundisi kubhekeke ukuthi sikhone kuphuma netimilo tebalingisi noma ke badlali labethuliwe. Kepha sisithola njani similo semlingisi noma ke semdlali mfundisi? Similo ke semdlali noma semlingisi mfundisi sisithola ngala kukhulumako la kwentako nalokushiwo ngilabanye ngaye. Uma uchaza ke mfundisi similo naka mfundisi uyasho ukuthi lo mlingisi unje bese uyasekela ngalokwenteka endzabeni. Angibekise nje mfundisi nangabe uyeba loyo mdlali lamethulile umbhali singasho ukuthi mhlambe usigangi ngoba endani ngoba eba. Naka ke mfundisi wami ukuthi timilo tebadlali atibukwa ngalokujulile endzabeni lemfisha leni ngoba phela yenteka mfundisi ngesikhashana lesincane. Ngiyethemba mfundisi ukuthi songayisihlatiya similo semlingisi noma ke umdlali endzabeni loyifundzako. Asishishimbe mfundisi wami sibuke siye etifundweni phela mfundisi wami. Sitawubona ukuthi ingabe yinto natifundvo. Endzabeni lemfisha kunengi mfundisi lesingathi siyakufunza lokungemaqiniso ngempilo. Lokho ke mfundisi lokungemaqiniso ngempilo sikubita ngekuthi yini tifundvo. Lokho umbhali ke mfundisi ukwethula njani ukuveta ngalabo badlali labasebenzisile endzabeni yakhe. Uma umdlali enda lokubi bese uyajeziseka ngendlela nje letsite mfundisi wami. Siyafunza ke thina lesifundza leyo ndzaba ukuthi shothi umbhali uyasigceka leso sento lesentwa ngiloyo mdlali. Kanjalo nangabe lo mfundisi noma lo mbhali lo mdlali wenda lokuhle loyo mlungisi kwaba nemthelela lomuhle. Siyabona ukuthi umbhali walendzaba kusho ukuthi leso sendo wenda njani mfundisi uyasikhutsata. Nangabe nje kunemdlali lowethulile atimisela atadisha mfundisi njengawe ekhaya bese uyaphumelela sesiyafunza ukuthi kumcoka kwenta njani kudadisha kude wende njani uphumelele. Lokunye ke mfundisi lesikutholako endzabeni lemfisha yini yingcikithi. Leba yinye vonje mfundisi atibi tinyenti njengoba sibukile umehluko emkhathini wendzaba lemfisha nalenze iba nje yinye. Yini ke mfundisi yona lengcikithi? Ingcikithi mfundisi ngumgogodla wendzaba noma ke ngiloko lokwende umbhali wasukuma phansi wade wayibhala indzaba yakhe. Siyithola njani ke mfundisi? Siyithola ngekubuthisa lemilayeto netifundvo lafuna kutendlulisa ngalowo mbhalo wakhe umbhali. Uyibhala kanjani ke mfundisi wami ingcikithi? Ingcikithi mfundisi inendlela yokuyibeka awuyibhali noma kanjani. Uyibhala ibe sihloko lesisibanjalo. Ungayicala ke ngato takhe tesibanjalo uthi k gu yi bu noma ngu. Asengikubekisele ke mfundisi. Ngingayifunza indzaba ngithole ingcikithi lethi kungethembeki. Nangu umfundisi siyambona. Kungethembeki shothi ngilokwende umbhali ate asukume phasi abhale leyo ndzaba yakhe. Lenye ingcikithi singayicubungula ithi bumqoka bani bemfundvo. Siyambona bu lo sakhe sengcikise sesibanjalo mfundisi wami. Siphinze futhi nasi lesinye sibonelo bungani sibili. Nawunaka mfundzi wami lapha lamagama akasiwo lamanyenti uma kuyingqikithi linye, mabili nalapha mabili. Lokusho ukuthi mfundzi ingqikithi ayengce emagameni lasihlanu. Bese ke uyakhona kwenda njani mfundzi kuyisekela ngaloko lokwendeka kuphi endzabeni. Sesiya ngasemaphethelweni ke mfundzi esifundo sethu asigcine nje ngekubuka umehluko emkhathini wengqikithi nesifundo phela. Sibuke ingqikithi nesifundo. Sifundo ke ingqikithi mfundzi sithi yini? Sisusa noma sizathu lesenta umbhali ende njani abhale indzaba yakhe. Kanzi sifundo sona sengumlayeto lesingathi siyawuthola kulombhalo lokhuthatako noma ke lokugceka lesento lesithide. Kumele kube ligama linye mfundzi, linye ligama lekumele ukuthi ubhale ngalo libe ingqikithi noma ke kube nje ngumshwana. Lone magama mfundzi wami langengci kulasihlanu. Naka mfundzi kuthi akukameli ukuthi ingqikithi yengce emagameni lasihlanu iba ligama linye noma ke ibe ngemagama lokungenani lasihlanu. Kanzi sifundo sona singaba nje nasidze ngoba usuke uchaza ini loko lokufundzile. Kungaba ngilokuhle mfundzi noma kube mhlambe ngiloko lokubi lose ukubonile. Sesifike emaphethelweni ke mfundzi esifundo sethu sanamuhla. Asengikukhumbude ukuthi sendeni mfundzi. Sibuyekete sifundo lesengcile lapho sabuka khona kwetfulwa kweluhlelo lwalokufundvako nekumiswa kweliphepha lesithathu. Sabuka futhi mfundzi umehluko emkhathini wayo indzaba lemfisha nakuletinye tinhlobo temibhalo. Sayichaza sayinwabulula mfundzi wami indzaba lemfisha ukuthi iyini. Sahlatiya kumiswa kwendzaba lemfisha ukuthi imanjani mfundzi wami ekhaya. Ngithemba mfundzi ukuthi nayingachamuka nalo indzaba lemfisha uyinwabulula kusukela ekuqaleni esihlokweni ude uyofika emaphethelweni. Ngithokotile kakhulu mfundzi kuba nawe esifundweni sethu salamuhla. Ngiyethemba ukuthi utawuchubeka uthamele umsakato ulalele izifundo letilandzelako.
Sibonga kakhulu Phethile isifundo sakho besimnanzi kakhulu. Sethemba ukuthi sitawubonana efundweni letlandzelako.
Ngiyabonga sisinokwazi ngiyethemba sitawubonana.
Ngiyajabula kakhulu. Mfundzi welibanga la form 4 ungayinzawo siyalandzela sifundwa sebiology kanye naye Thembisile ehlatshwayo. Siyabuya khona manje.
Buhle bethu imvelo yethu. Buhle bethu tindzawo tethu. Indalo yashada nemasiko kuhle kwethu. Kuvakasha kwethula umthwalo emahlombe ethu. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe indlela uyikhombe etindzaweni tethu. Temvelo nembukiso ungcebeleke uthathe netithombe. Lalela ke nangu sonkondlo waseswatini akutekela ayibeka indzaba ayihlela kuhle kwelijaha lishela ngiyakutshela diningi tindzawo longativakashela hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe la phana lapha kuvakasha kuyayelapha enhlitiyo kanye nemqondo kuyawuphumuda kugcinisa buhlobo nebungane losebundenga ndenga with a trip to Mantenga Falls or a sip among friends of Sibebe Brew on Sibebe Mountain, or perhaps your cup of tea is backpacking and horse riding, sightseeing the seamless streams and springs that stream across the gorgeous valleys of the mountainous kingdoms of Eswatini. We have you covered. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe. Buhle bethu yimvelo yethu. Buhle bethu ngabuthola nasebantwini bethu.
Your favorite music show is back. We're bringing you the hottest music videos and live studio interviews with your favorite celebrities. We're giving you a front row seat to the latest fashion trends as well as your weekend gig guide. Join us live on social media and call in to send in your shout-outs. Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Friday at 5:30 p.m. live on Eswatini TV.
Eye on SADC, telling the African story from an African perspective. This is the only news program bringing you news, views, and interviews straight from the countries where it happened. Join me, Ndishishi Hamfungu, as I take you on a journey across Southern Africa. That's on Eye on SADC, news of SADC from SADC.
Healing, hope, restoration. Amazing stories of real people like you who have triumphed over tragedy. Watch Turning Point International and be inspired to reach your turning point.
It really ministers to the soul of man, and as a pastor you benefit a lot because people learn and they learn how to cope with issues probably you don't even deal with in your sermons.
It's not reality TV, it's real life TV.
Welcome back to Home Study on Eswatini TV. If you have just joined us, a very good afternoon to you. This is the last lesson for the day, which is Form 4 Biology with Thembisile Hlachwayo, who is already with me in the studio. Thembisile, how are you this afternoon?
I'm good, and you? Nokwazi?
I'm very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Today we're doing classification of animals.
Yes.
Part 2.
Yes.
Okay, what are you expecting your Form 4s to have learned by the end of this lesson?
Okay, by the end of this lesson, good people, you should be able to classify vertebrates into fish, birds, mammals, amphibians, and reptiles. You should also be able to state the characteristics of vertebrates from one class. So we're going to look class by class. So we're going to start with fish, followed by amphibians, then reptiles, and then birds. So yeah.
All right, thank you so much for that, Thembisile. And of course, a reminder that you can also watch us on our YouTube and Facebook platform, where we are live right now, and live Monday to Friday from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. And of course, you can use the WhatsApp number to ask any questions that you might have. Thembisile, please, you can begin your lesson.
Okay, thank you so much. You guys, we have learned about living organisms. You have learned that living organisms are classified into 5 kingdoms. We stated that there are 5 kingdoms, namely Kingdom Animalia, Kingdom Plantae, Kingdom Monera, Kingdom Protista, and Kingdom Fungi. So we further looked at Kingdom Plantae, which we classified Kingdom Plantae into monocotyledons and dicotyledons. And then after that, we went further to Kingdom Animalia. So we classified Kingdom Animalia into 2, which are invertebrates and vertebrates. Okay, and then we looked further into invertebrates, where we classified the invertebrates into different phyla. So we looked at phylum Mollusca, phylum Annelida, phylum Nematoda, phylum Arthropoda. And then we classified further phylum Arthropoda into classes Insecta, class Arachnida, class Crustacea, and also class Marapoida. So I gave you a task last time. I said you go and find out, because you, dear Elena, you didn't fall under invertebrates. So I said you go and find out, where do you belong? So today's lesson is all about vertebrates. Why is this lesson important to you? As a future scientist, ecologist, animal doctor, this will help lay a foundation for your career. So what I expect you by the end of this session, I want you to give the classes of vertebrate like I've already stated. So then we'll go straight and look further into vertebrate. Okay, so we'll start with the general characteristics of vertebrates. First, we say all vertebrates have vertebral column. What do we mean by that? We simply mean a backbone. So all vertebrates have got a backbone or vertebral column. They have an endoskeleton. An endoskeleton will simply mean an internal skeleton. Remember, a skeleton is made of bones. So these bones, they also include the vertebral column. Okay, also, we're going to look at the 5 classes. The 5 classes which are fish, amphibia, reptilia, birds, also called the Aves, and also Mammalia. Okay, before we go further to look at each of these classes, in the secondary level or primary level, you learned about animal being divided into 2, whereby we talked about warm-blooded animals and cold-blooded animals. So now, because education comes in levels, we are no longer going to use the warm-blooded, the cold-blooded. So, for example here, fish, amphibians, and reptiles are ectothermic. So, by that we simply mean they cannot maintain a constant body temperature. So this means that they cannot keep their body temperature the same. So those animals are said to be ectothermic. And then also with birds and mammals, we say that they are endothermic. So these ones, they maintain a constant body temperature. So this means that they keep their body temperature the same. Okay, let us look at each of these classes of vertebrates. We'll start with class fish. So with class fish, they are nearly all aquatic. Remember, we said the word aquatic, this simply means these kinds of animals, they live in water. Okay, they have got streamlined body shapes. Why the streamlined body shape? This helps them to swim easily through water. So if we can look at this diagram here, which shows us a fish. This is the streamlined body shape. So remember, we said it helps it to swim easily. Also, the body is covered with scales. Let us go back to this fish here. So all over the body, we have got what? We have got scales all over the body. Okay, and then they also have what? Fins to help them swim through water. Let us look at this fish here. These are the fins we are talking about. It is being used by the animal to swim. Okay, then gaseous exchange occurs through the gills. So when we talk about gaseous exchange, we mean when oxygen is diffusing into the body, and also carbon dioxide is diffusing out of the body. That is the gaseous exchange. So we have got some examples of animals that fall under fish. Okay, I've got a list of them here. The goldfish, the carp, the jay, the perch, the tilapia. You can name a few. Okay. Let us move on to class Amphibia, commonly known as amphibians. Okay, these ones, they live on both land and water. but they all need the water for reproduction. Remember, they lay the eggs in the water. They lay the eggs in the water, and the eggs hatch into tadpoles. So this means that in the absence of water, these kinds of animals, they cannot be able to reproduce. Okay, and then they have got a moist, smooth skin. Moist, smooth skin, and the skin here is not covered with scales. Okay, also they have 4 limbs and webbed feet. Let us look at the diagram here. We'll just take one amphibia. This is the limbs we're talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the other side. So also we talked about webbed feet. So these are the webbed feet. Okay, and then also they do not have claws on their toes. They do not have claws on their toes. Their gaseous exchange occurs through their moist skin or lungs. So it's either they use their skin or their lungs. Okay, we have got some examples of different animals under amphibians. So the toad is one of them, the salamander, the Sicilian, you can name a few. We also have a frog here. Okay, and then let us move on. Class Reptilia, known as reptiles. So with reptiles, they are mostly terrestrial. They are mostly terrestrial. We mean that they live on land. Their body is covered with scales. The body is covered with scales. They have got 4 limbs with clawed toes, except snakes. They lay eggs. They lay eggs which have leathery shells on land. Okay. These are animals which falls under reptile. So here is a crocodile. You can see the body here is covered with scales. Here are the limbs, 1, 2, 3, 4 limbs. We also talked about toes having some claws. So these are the claws on the toes of the animals. Okay, and then let us move on to class birds. Class birds, also known as Aves. So with these animals, they can be terrestrial, which means that they live on land, or arboreal, meaning that they live on trees. Their body is covered with feathers to aid flight and to keep them warm. Also, their 4 limbs are wings, mostly used for flying. They lay eggs with scales. The legs are covered with scales. Okay. Also, they have beak adapted to the food they eat. So what do we mean by that? If you can look at a chicken, I'm sure you are all familiar with chickens. So compare a chicken with a duck. So look at their beaks. So their beaks they do not look the same. Why? It's because they are adapted to the type of food that they eat. Also, they lay eggs which have hard shells in nests. So if you can remember, or we all know, you go to the shop, you buy some eggs, so you look at that egg, you know that it is coming from a chicken. So that egg has got shells, and the shells are hard. So for them to lay the eggs, those eggs are laid in nests. Okay, I hope we're together. So the example here shows some different kinds of animals which are found under birds. We have got the ostrich, we have got the sparrow, the rat, the parrot, the penguin, the mian. You can name a few. Okay. And then let us move on to class Mammalia, so which are commonly known as mammals. So with mammals, they are mostly terrestrial. So remember, by terrestrial, we mean that they live on land. Their body is covered with either hair or fur. The body is covered with either hair or fur. They have 4 limbs for movement. They have different kinds of teeth adapted to the food they eat. I will make an example of yourself and a cow. So you have your teeth which are different from that one of a cow, so that these teeth are adapted for the type of food that the animals eat. So they must give birth to live young ones. Let us look at this picture here. You can see this woman is breastfeeding her baby here. So the baby is live. So that means the baby has got life. So it's sucking the milk from the parent. Also, they breastfeed their young ones. We have seen in the picture, this woman is breastfeeding the young one. So the breast here, the breast has got some mammary glands which produce the milk. Okay. Also, their ears have a pinna. Their ears have a pinna. Okay. Looking at the animals here, these are examples of mammals. When we talk about the pinna, here is a pig. The pig has got a pinna. Okay, so the sheep here, these are the pinna that we're talking about, the pinna. So these animals are examples of mammals. The giraffe is a mammal, the deer is a mammal, the horse is a mammal. Okay, and then having classified these vertebrates into different classes, let us see if we have grasped the information. Okay. So I want you, good people, to look at the table and try to fill it up. You have to complete it using the characteristic features that we have just talked about. This is the table. Can you quickly draft it on your exercise book so that we can discuss your answers? I'm giving you some few minutes. So copy the table. We will come and check your answers. Okay, let us check if we have got it all correct. Okay, we'll start with class fish. This one has been already done for us. We move on to the limbs. Okay, let us check. A fish doesn't have limbs, so there are no limbs. Instead, they have got what? Yes, they have got fins. Okay, is fish ectothermic or endothermic? It is ectothermic. Correct. Okay, let us move on to amphibians or class Amphibia. The skin of class Amphibia, it is moist, smooth skin. Okay, it has got four limbs. And webbed feet. This one has been already done for us. And then we move on to amphibians are ectothermic or endothermic. Okay, they are ectothermic. Yes, correct. Then let us move to class Reptilia, which are reptiles. Okay, Looking at the skin of reptiles, it is covered with scales. Yes, correct. And then let us move to the limbs. How many limbs does a reptile has? It has got four limbs. Correct. Yes, it has got 4 limbs. Okay. Then a reptile is ectothermic. Okay. Let us move on to mammals. So the skin of mammals, it is covered with fur or hair. Correct. Yes. Then when it comes to the limbs with mammals, they have got what? How many limbs? 4 limbs. Yes, they have got 4 limbs. Okay. Are mammals ectothermic or endothermic? They are endothermic. Yes, correct. They are endothermic because they are able to maintain a constant body temperature. Okay. Then coming to birds, the skin of birds, it is covered with what? Feathers. It is covered with feathers. Yes, correct. And then we move on to the limbs. How many limbs does a bird have? It has got 4 limbs, for which the front limbs are used as wings, so that it can be able to fly. Okay. Is a bird ectothermic or endothermic? It is endothermic. It is endothermic. Yes, it is able to maintain a constant body temperature. Okay. So in summary, we have classified vertebrates into classes, which are class mammals, class birds, fish, amphibians, and reptiles. Okay. We have also described the visible external characteristic features of the different classes of vertebrates. Okay. This marks the end of our session today. Good people at home, stay safe, and may God bless and protect you even during this COVID-19 pandemic period. Thank you.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you so much, Thembisile. And just before you go, I heard you speaking a lot about ectothermic and endothermic.
Yes.
Could you please tell me the difference between the two, between ectothermic and endothermic?
Okay, with ectothermic, we mean that the animal is able or is not able to maintain a constant body temperature.
Okay.
So this simply means that the body temperature of the animal is determined by the temperature of the surrounding. And then with the endothermic, the animal can be is able to maintain the body temperature. I will make an example of yourself. So you know that when you are healthy, so you expect a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. Yes. So that means your body is able to maintain that constant temperature. The temperature is not changing. Okay. Once the temperature changes, so it means that you are not well in your body. Yes. So such animals are said to be endothermic.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Thembisile, for that. We're not the only, the Form 4s back at home are not the only people that are learning. We are also learning as well. That's why I was asking you a question. I really wanted to tell the difference between those two things.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Thembisile, for that. And we're hoping to see you again pretty soon.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Please do not go anywhere, viewers at home. Lerato and myself will be right back after this.
Buhle bethu imvelo yethu. Buhle bethu tindzawo tethu. Indalo yashada nemasiko kuhle kwethu. Kuvakasha kwethula umthwalo emahlombe ethu. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe indlela uyikhombe etindzaweni tethu. Temvelo nembukiso ungcebeleke uthathe netithombe. lalela ke nangu sonkondlo waseswatini akutekela ayibeka indzaba ayihlela kuhle kwelijaha lishela ngiyakutshela diningi tindzawo longativakashela hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe la phana lapha kuvakasha kuyayelapha enhlitiyo kanye nemicondvo kuyawuphumuta kugcinisa buhlobo nebungane losebundenga ndenga with a trip to Mantenga Falls or a sip among friends of Sibebe Brew on Sibebe Mountain, or perhaps your cup of tea is backpacking and horse riding, sightseeing the seamless streams and springs that stream across the gorgeous valleys of the mountainous kingdoms of Eswatini. We have you covered. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe buhle bethu yimvelo yethu buhle bethu ngabuthola nasebantwini bethu.
A very warm welcome back to our viewers. Unfortunately, that was, of course, the last lesson for the day for the Form 4s, and actually the last lesson totally for this Tuesday afternoon. How was your day?
Today was very interesting, and I just figured out that Aves is taken from aviation, so it was a very interesting fact to know. Hey,
do you want me to tell the truth? Okay. I'm not going to tell the truth. I'm not going to expose her. I actually learned a lot on biology today. I enjoyed the lesson. Ectothermic and endothermic were very, very interesting for me. I really enjoyed that. What did you enjoy today? Besides Aves and aviation.
Well, I enjoyed the grade 1 lesson. I think I always enjoy the lower grade lessons because they just take me back to childhood.
I think the reason why I enjoy them so much is the singing, which is beautiful, by the way. We always love that here. So guys, we hope that you are ready for tomorrow. Get some rest today, because tomorrow this is what your day looks like. From 2 p.m. until 2:30 p.m. we have expressive art for the grades 1 and 2. From 2:30 p.m. until 3 p.m. we have religious education for the grades 3 and 4. From 3 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. we have social studies for grades 3 and 4. From 3:30 p.m. until 4 p.m. we have additional mathematics for Form 1s and 2. From 4 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. we have mathematics for the Form 4s. And the last lesson for the day is physics for the Form 4s from 4:30 p.m. until 5 p.m.
Viewer at home, do not forget that we also have social media platforms, which are YouTube and Facebook, where we are live from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. Please do not forget to click that subscribe button so that whenever we are live, you get a notification.
Yes, and a reminder that we do have a WhatsApp number that you guys can use from time to time if you have any questions. Please, 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 we kindly ask you to text us the questions. Please do not call us. Do not send any voice notes, because we will not be able to help with those. We can only answer texted questions, and that's it. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 2 p.m. sharp.
See you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. From me, Nogwazi, and the team, it's goodbye. See you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.
The biggest, the dopest, the freshest. The biggest, the dopest, the freshest, the sickest. It's the illest. Illest. It's the biggest, the dopest, the freshest, the sickest, the illest. Entertainment on your TV screens is TBD. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Beatdown.